the kind of things that you ask about, and I try to be very fair to you about it. What do you remember? What influenced you? These are the kinds that influenced me. And how can I say one collection was more exciting than the other? The excitement, as I say to you, was being able to serve a collector as renowned as Eliasberg, have a friendship with him, and when I used to go in to see him, he used to say, "Hello, my boy." It was his greetings to a friend and a warm person. And I still was Mr. Eliasberg until later on in his life. And then secondly, to be part of the building team that built the Lilly Collection. And I will tell you this, we had a delivery to make. I don't know what month he died, about a month before he died. And his secretary called up and said, if you come, you're not going to go to the library, you're going to go to his home. I said, okay. So I had the package ready, and I flew out to Indianapolis. He always made a reservation for me in the Indianapolis Athletic Club. His chauffeur with the Rolls Royce came and picked me up. Every time I was there, took me back to the airport and everything else. Everything was taken. Really, a real host, you know? And I get there, and I go to his house. His house is a venerable museum in the sense of paintings, art, and other collectibles that his wife had a thing for. Well, to make a long story short, I greeted the door by a butler, and I think I took off my coat, and he says, "Mr. Lilly expects you," and he says, "Please go upstairs." So I said to him, "Yes," and I said, "What am I going upstairs for?" I walk upstairs, and they usher me into his bedroom. He's sitting on the edge of his bed in a pair of pajamas. "Harvey, I'm glad to see you. What did you bring me?" Man was so sick he really couldn't move around. And I was there 2 weeks before he died. I was the last person from the outside world, as they told me, to see him alive. And he enjoyed his coins so much, you could see it perked him up. He got something. And he insisted that day, we always had him, he always sent us checks after we said we never said to him, "Give us a check now," you just walked out of the place. He insisted I write the check like he knew he was going to die. His secretary would have wrote the check for me. But he insisted. I said, "Mr. Lilly, we don't need it right this minute." He says, "I want you to have it." And I was a different kind of a person. You know, there was respect that he had. We had such respect for him as a client, as a person. I was in his, to give you another idea of how well I knew Lilly, I made a delivery on a Tuesday morning to him I think it was 1962. And he had this beautiful library in the middle of the outside of Indianapolis, which was 5,000 acres, which became a national park, all right, which he gave to them. He had in the center to see a beautiful estate house and a library. And I went there one day, and he had a hidden room. Like, you built a library, and in the middle of the library was a safe. And he opened certain doors, and it opened up. You got into where the coin collection was, the stamp collection. His wife's 50th anniversary gold service set that he bought her for a 50th anniversary present. Gold service pictures and all this business, plates. And I'm sitting in there, and he says, "Harvey, would you mind helping me put these back in the right place?" Because he had kept his collection in a board that had 28 squares in it, 2 by 2s. We'd have 1 3/4 envelopes all prepared, and the coin inside them. And then we'd put them in so that what happens if he had a 1787 and a 1789, they were side by side, you had room to move them over and put the 88 in the middle. I mean, it's just orderliness, you know? He said, "Would you excuse me a few minutes?" This was about 2 minutes to 11. I said, "Surely." I mean, he walks into the office, which was adjacent to the room I was working, which is the room outside the library where you walk in where the safe is. And I hear his voice. "How did it go?" "Oh, that's good. I'm glad it went. Did you get along all right with everybody?" Because he talked to his brother, Eli. He was JK, his brother was Eli. Eli Lilly is the name of the company because that was the grandfather's name. Right? So he says, "Everything went along all right." I said, fine. He says, fine. I'm very happy. I'm glad you were there, Eli. That's how he puts something like this. And they hang up. Walks back. That's what he goes like this. I said, what happened? He says, we got the approval for the Salk vaccine today. I was sitting in his office when he got the approval.
Cured polio.
Yeah.
Wow. To have been in Lilly as you had this happen, that's...
Yeah. Well, that was the thing that happened then. And of course, the day he said to me, he'll melt them before he'll give West Point the lead soldiers. I mean, you know, you take a deep breath back, you know, when you hear these things. But this is the kind of person that you dealt with. And we had a lot of people that we dealt with on the same warm basis. It wasn't only selling coins. And of course, always the wish that you would sell them for them eventually, because they're not reproducible legally, let's put it that way. And you're not going to go find a hoard like Jim Kelly found with the 26S20. So it happens, though. But you're there with the guy who created this collection. And he created it not because he had the money to create it, but he had the desire to create it. He had one of the top stamp collections in the world. He was competing with people like Farouk when he was buying. He had two very good representatives. But what happens is they let his name out, one of them, and he says, that's the end of our dealing. So you had to know when to kid and when not to kid, when to do something, when not to do something. And isn't that I'm so bright, or that my family was so bright, or the company was so bright? This is the way you deal with people.